Wonderful good morning to the students of class 9. My name is Renzi Seni and I'm your computer teacher. We will start teaching learning process with the help of online classes. Let's discuss the first term syllabus. This time in the first term we have 3 chapters. Chapter 1, Introduction to Object Oriented Programming Concepts. Chapter 2, Introduction to Java. Chapter 5, Operations in Java. But before that, let's discuss about the question paper pattern, because this time the question paper pattern will be slightly different than your previous classes. This time you have the question paper of 100 marks, right? And that question paper is going to be divided into 2 sections, section A and section B. In section A, you need to perform all the questions, and that is basically your theory part. In section A, you will see the questions related to very short questions, error finding questions, output prediction questions, and so on. In section B, there you will have total 6 questions, and out of it you need to attempt only 4 questions, and that is completely going to be depend on programming part. Your section A will carry 40 marks and your section B will carry 60 marks. In section B, each question is going to carry 15 marks. Right, child? Let's start from lesson number 1, Introduction to Object-Oriented Programming Concepts. In this chapter, we will learn about definition of computer program, programming language. These definitions we will learn. Then translation of codes, evaluation of programming language, programming paradigms, basic concepts of object-oriented programming language, principles of object-oriented programming language. Child, these two are different concepts. Advantages and drawbacks of object-oriented programming language. We have the very first topic, that is computer program. See, computer program is nothing more than the set of instructions which helps you to complete any specific task. Any task which you would like to perform in computer, you are able to perform with the help of computer program. For example, if you want to add 2 numbers, then first of all, you need to have 2 values, then only you perform 2 addition on it, like 2 and 3. 2 and 3 is your value, that is simply your data. When you perform addition, this is your one of the instruction that you would like to perform addition function on 2 and 3, and your output will be 5. This all is your computer program, right? Computer program is written in programming language. Programming languages, computer understand a specific language that is called a programming languages, and all programs are written in computer language. For example, C, C++, Java, COBOL, and so on. We have the third topic, that is translation of codes. Programming written in high-level language and low-level languages. This thing we had learned in our previous classes, right? So the programs which are written in high-level languages are need to translate, and that time we use compilers and interpreter because we need to convert high-level language or high-level language into low-level language or machine understandable language, and we are able to perform with the help of compiler and interpreter. So if we are translating the low-level language into the high-level language, then codes which are written in high-level languages are called source code. Child, please note down these terms, because these terms are very important, and these same terms you will see in your further topics. Next topic we have translate object code. Codes which are written in high-level language are called source code, and translated code, which means that when you have translated high-level language into low-level language, that term is called object code. Let's have a brief idea about programming languages. Let's have a rough idea. Very quickly we will do this thing. Programming languages are classified into 2 parts, low-level language and high-level language. Low-level language is further classified into two categories: machine language and assembly language. Machine language is already based on zeros and ones language. Zero means the data is absent and the one means the data is present. That all is this. Second is assembly language. In assembly language, we use mnemonics. And as we were talking about translating code, source codes, and object code. Assembly language, we use mnemonics. Mnemonics like add, sum, mult. These few terms we are using assembly language. But problem is that computer won't be able to understand this language. So for removing this problem, we had used assembler to convert assembly language into machine level language. Now, the language which is written in assembly language is called source code, and the converted language is called your object code, right? Second category of programming language is high level language, and there are some of the example of high level languages are given here. That is COBOL, Fortran, C, C++, SQL, Java, Python, and so on. Right. Every language has a general set of rules. Grammar. Computer language also has a set of rules and structure. That is called syntax. Syntax term, whichever terms I had taught you, that source code, object code, syntax, these terms you need to by heart very properly, because these terms you will see in your further topics. Next topic which we have, that is evaluation of programming language. See, all the languages which we are able to have, they all are generated in a specific time period, that which we named as a generations. Generations is nothing more than advancement of any product or advancement of any language. Mostly we have 5 type of generations of computer, and in that time period your specific language is introduced. In first generation computer, we have your machine level language. Machine level language is your zero and ones language. Zero means the data is absent and one means the data is present. Computer is nothing more than electronic machine. They understand the language of passing the signals or electronic pulse, right? So zero means the data is absent and one means the data is present. That's how the computer actually works. But this language is difficult to develop, debug, and maintain. Debug means remove error. The person who is having expertise in machine level language, that person only able to debug the errors of the program, and difficult to maintain. We have the second generation language. In second generation language, as I had told you, low level language having the two parts, machine level language and assembly language. In your second generation, we had developed your assembly language, and it uses mnemonic codes to give instructions like add, move, mult, read, etc., sub, etc. It is an intermediate between high level language and machine codes. Intermediate, what do you mean by intermediate? Intermediate, that before we introduce high level language, that was the first step which we had took to introduce your high level language. So that's how we start moving to the high level language. We have the third generation of computer. It refers to high level language. Now from third generation onwards, we start using your high level language. It is easier for human to learn because this language is very close to English language. So it is easier for humans to learn and develop. Example: C, C++, Basic, Java, etc. And next we have your fourth generation computer. Fourth generation computer is closer to human understandable language or non-procedural language. Now the term procedural, non-procedural, structure, the explanation of these topics, definitely we are going to have it in this chapter only. And the best example of fourth generation language is SQL. Full form of SQL is sequential query language. Right. Next we have your fifth generation language. It mainly use artificial language. An example of this language is OPS5 and Mercury. Child, next topic we have, that is programming paradigms. Programming paradigms are the way of classifying or classify programming language based on their feature. Like we were discussing about procedural language and non-procedural language. These concepts will be discussed, or these concepts explanation we are going to do in this topic. In simple words, programming approaches with the different features are called programming paradigms. So basically we have three types of programming paradigms: structural programming or standard programming, procedural programming, object-oriented programming. Till 8th standard, all of you had followed structural programming. The programming which you're doing, like to perform any task, step 1, step 2, step 3. Like take the example. If you have to open MS Word 2007 or 2010, whichever, then what will be the step 1? Step 1, all of you will say that click on start button, then click on all programs, then click on MS Office, and then MS Word 2007 or 10, whichever you would like to have it. This is called your structural programming language, where everything is well structured. See, it is a set of design and implementation process that yield well structured program. Everything is well structured. Only you need to follow the instructions and you need to accomplish the task. And in this, let me tell you this thing, that this time we are going to have your object-oriented programming language. Now let's have the next topic, that is procedure programming. It is a method where the larger program is divided or broken into the sub-programs such as functions and procedures. Here we had divide your program into the small parts. Many instructions are written to carry out the task. These instructions group to form function. To perform any specific task, there the number of instructions are given. In procedural language, function take more importance than the data items. Here everything is mentioned, how to do, what to do, right? So here function take more importance than the data items. Third point you have, data items are applied globally, which is to be used in all the function, or single data items you can use in any of the function. To make any changes in the function may need to reschedule the associated data values. You have to start from the scratch, right? This affects normal sequencing of the programming logic, which means that if you want to make any changes in procedural programming, you need to start from the scratch, because here functions take more importance than data items. We have this third programming paradigm, that is object-oriented programming. Child, object-oriented programming increase the programmer's productivity and overcome shortcoming of the traditional approach of programming. Traditional means procedural programming or structure programming. Basically here we are talking about traditional, we are talking about procedural programming. In the object-oriented programming, they tell you what to do, not how to do, right? In this, it focuses on data rather than procedures and structures. You have to accomplish the task. It's up to you which function you would like to have it to accomplish the task, which procedure you are following to accomplish the task. This is a method where programming is adjusted and modeled on the basis of real life entities and process, right? It does not allow data to flow freely. In procedural language, the data can flow anywhere because their functions are important, not data. But here, data is important, not functions. So in this programming, it does not allow data to flow freely from one function to another. Let's have a quick review or difference between the procedural programming and object-oriented programming. Procedural-oriented programming, functions are more important, and in object-oriented programming, stress is put on data. Second point is data can flow freely throughout program, and in object-oriented programming, data is restricted to be in specific area. Procedural programming, top-down approach, which means that if anything goes wrong, you have to start from the scratch. And in object-oriented programming, bottom-up approach we follow. Then no access specifier available because data can move anywhere. And here has access specifier. It is restricted because the data is restricted. So you must have access specifier. Object-oriented programming is less secure and procedural programming is less secure and object-oriented programming is more secure. In procedural programming, overloading is not possible, and in object-oriented programming, overloading is possible.